Welcome. It is Angie Andrews Eyesight, and we're going to be putting on the spiritual glasses because we're talking about some really needed information, especially in the day and age where people need reminding of the health and food industry. Dare I say, do you know that the South Beach diet and the keto diet and the Atkins diet and all these things are just interchanging names and they're just adding on more restrictions? So I think it's funny because these people think they're reinventing the wheel. So they're like, oh yeah, while I'm doing this, I'm doing clean eating. I remember when I was in my 20s, somebody saying to me that if I just was implementing clean eating, that I would be okay. I'm like, clean? What does that mean? Like, I didn't even get it. And it didn't even make sense in the confines of that conversation that we were having. So let me just help you out when it comes to the diets, the industry of cosmetics and lotions and eating. Big deal, people. They are not telling you the spiritual truth. So I'm going to allow you to venture back in time with me over periods of time. Let's start with the cavemen. Back when they were having to provide for their little cave dwellers, they had to like pummel some, carnivores over the head so that they could eat meat because that was their protein source. And hence the herbivores, they focused on the plants and whatnot because we need fiber to move through our systems. But when you take away any subgroup or food group for the sake of, producing ketones or, slimming out the carbs, we have all these after effects, consequences, if you will. Hence, that's where I believe, the gluten epidemic is now, in our faces. People aren't just going into restaurants, with limitations and gluten allergies because they want to or because they need to. It's sometimes because they want to. You see how confusing it is? Even my own parts are going, oh my God, help me. So when we talk about eating disorders, it's very important that we don't tell somebody that's struggling with the image of themselves and their relationship, which is love and hate to food, that they should be watching a certain food group. They could really be doing keto, or I love this one, intermittent fasting. The church has been doing that for a really long time. I love how the world is like, oh, we got this new coin on something. Okay, no you don't. All of this is just recycled information, and it gets poo-pooed for a little while, and then we have to bring it back up the surface because then we suddenly have a craze of technology that's saying you can record all of your workouts and then you can record all of your calories. Wow, take a breath. Yeah, this requires some spiritual insight. When you have to control your food intake so that your emotions can calm down, you are dealing with some facet or form of an eating issue. May I suggest that when we try to reprogram our bodies based on legalism, or as many people would know it, as regimen, as perfection, as making sure that we abstain from certain things that are bad for us, we are really playing into some dangerous territory. Because in honesty, what works well for me might not work well for you. And if I have an emotional, hollow place within my system that's based on some kind of rejection or abandonment or pain when I was a child, then that could be an open chasm for me that never gets filled. And that's the reason why I could binge on cottage cheese and I could binge on a sleeve of cookies. Doesn't matter, because at any second, the thing that I'm going to require to fill that empty space in me could change. And that's what I want to introduce. The subject of eating disorders is one that is taboo. I'm going to use my story always because I am an open book. I have no shame when it comes to what I have walked through and where I am at today. But when we can recognize that relationship to food and controlling it or managing it is really just a symptom of something that's deeper going on within us, then we really wouldn't have to put anybody on any kind of diet. They wouldn't have to jump on the latest fad bandwagon just so that they could feel good with themselves. And when I talk about exercise, that's a whole nother game, because you can have exercise bulimia all day long. that just means you're going to binge yourself into oblivion, and then you're going to make sure that you run an extra 5 miles or you're on that bike for an extra 5 hours the next day to make up for it. Why? Because the binge purge cycle is how we respond to life as humans. And humanity only rewards the people that look like they're doing a really good job.